Hello, welcome back to my master biology series. And now this is the episode 2. So, like last time when we were explaining how the planet and the soul and the system of in the system of our project will look like, and now we're going to see what and how is going our first life look like. So first we're starting with the plants, minimap plantae, tiny plants, and these are um, microscopic single cellular with fi- around the size of 5 micrometers. So these these single-celled organisms have something similar to nucleus, but they store their RNA storage. These orange stripe-looking things are RNA storage. There's a plast that um, isn't it fills a similar function to chloroplast, but in different species it can be a different color. So the plant, the plast is just called plast. It can be a carrot plast, no, beta carotene plast, or whatever plast, because the life is different underwater than on land or in the air. Then we have a mitochondria, which is in 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 the symbiosis of a bacteria or like organism. Same as with the plast. These bubbles now not vacuums that transport stuff from the um, transport bits to the to the different parts of the cell. Also, some proteins are made. Most of the proteins are made in the RNA storage. It stores RNA and makes proteins. It stores some RNA, it reactivates, deactivates some depending on the environment. So let's say it's really hot and the RNA storage will activate the RNA that will code for heat resistant proteins or heat shock proteins. This so there's a cell wall and a membrane. The membrane is under the cell wall, and the cell wall is made out of cellulose. Then the layering of these small plants can be a yellow layer on the top and a green layer below it. These are mostly made out of two species A or species B, or they are made out of the same species in some areas of our planet they are made out of the same species, and the species will adapt, what is the light light that is hitting the cell. This could happen in areas with a strong current, because the plants will still get mixed up, and they really they need to adapt really fast. So these like species A and species B would be would be mostly in tidal pools or really shallow environments. And because light, red light gets absorbed through water really quickly, so the species or the cells at near the surface or at the surface of the water will be yellow. The rest of it would be green, maybe purple, and various colors. That's for the plants. And what is that? I forgot something to say. I don't know. Oh, the I still forget how to. I need to make a script that I need to make a text so I can read it and talk about this stuff. But so this video is going to be a little bit more long because there's a lot of things to cover. So I'm going to switch the papers now. So we're back with our animals. So these animals, they are body plants, animal phylum, and I made one sessile with a radial symmetry and motile with a bilateral symmetry. They both eat like dead stuff and nutrients from the water, because there are no predators in this era yet, or period, or eon, whatever. I need to make a timeline. You can suggest anything you want to see in this series in the comments. So you can suggest it. But the previous episode and this episode was uh, pre pre-recorded, so most of your suggestions aren't going to be seen. Seen they are going to be, but they are going to be delayed by a few videos, so have that in mind. So let's start with the multi-bilateral symmetrical animal, multiforamina, many holes. Let's start with its circular system. This animal's circular system has blood, copper based, and it has blood cells that actually have nuclei and flagellum, so they can move around the body. The, this animal probably lives on the bottom of on the seafloor, eating marine snow with its proboscis, which is lined by rings of muscles, so it can stretch and move and suck the marine snow and filter for bacteria in some species, or just eat the marine snow in general. This this animal phylum is going to, in this era of the detritivores and sometimes filter bacteriivores and filter feeders. So It's not really complex. The circular system is just a bag, an open circular system, and it only turns into veins when in the process into vein into like extensions of the bag, which will supply the proboscis with oxygen, especially the muscles, and into a extension of wait. So sorry, my family was a little bit too noisy, so I had to say um, to stop them being noisy. So ended up with the cardiovascular system. It's just a bag, and there's an extension in one of each foot or feet or legs or whatever, which acts like a hydrostatic skeleton, which will make which is filled up with blood, extending the foot or the leg. Let's call them legs. Extending the leg and making it with a section pad, with a kind of weak section pad sucked on the substrate, and when it wants to move, the muscle will contract, squeezing the blood cells out, and then moving the leg up, and then moving the leg the other way, and then expanding again. So this animal would move like starfish, similar to starfishes, and it like millipedes, like starfish millipedes. Each pair of their tiny feet will making that them like moving on the seafloor eating. The eyes are used to distinguish between light and dark, and it's it's a although a trait from the ancestors which uh, used light as indicator of um, algae of algae blooms, so they would detect um, lots of light, so they knew they were close to the surface, and lots of and when the light was darker and it was like rays, like a single ray hitting the eye, the ancestor would know it's not very close to it's close to the surface, and then there are algae to eat. So eyes have devolved from pits to just eye spots to sense light and to have the circadian rhythm uh, working, so the animal knows when to sleep or when to not sleep. And the gills are an extension of the, let's say, blood bag, and it's a feather-like structure which can be moved, and it collects oxygen, and the blood cells with their nucleus and stuff would go into the gills and then go out with oxygen and uh, distribute the oxygen to the other organs. Like I don't think this like the digestive system. The digestive system is probably like stuff goes through the proboscis into a tube, and slowly goes through the tube, and then it goes out of one one hole, one of the holes that are also used for reproduction. Inefficient, maybe, but natural selection doesn't care right now because there are no predators. These eggs, eggs, or uh, let's say them, the scientific for phrase are is it's gametes, and let's say the gametes, male and female, they will use broadcast spawning, which will increase. Broadcast spawning is a method that corals use uh, f- for reproduction, like eggs and uh, male gametes, or go into the water and then for outside fertilize. So this clade have will have outside fertilization. So let's now move to the sessile radiosymmetric organism, and this organism has is a giant, not giant, it's a little bit bigger than our multi-organism. Our multi-organism is like 2 or 3 centimeters long, and our sessile polyp multi-arma is exactly 5 centimeters tall. It, it's composed of a tube which has a blood-filled cavity, and these blood cells are more like our blood cells, and this is also an efficient a circular system, and the gills, like these flaps that have a lot of surface area, a lot of blood cell, of veins, and the veins will transfer the oxygen here. The blood-filled cavity uh, could contract a little, but not very much. So doesn't have specialized muscle to do. They're reproduced by splitting, like some polyps do today, or soft colors, and they have a suction pad, which makes it uh, which makes it stuck to the substrate, and it doesn't get moved by ocean currents. Oh, this animal will filter nutrients from its arms. The arms will have cilia, which will catch the food. There will be glands, which will produce enzymes, which will digest the food. Then the enzymes are oily, so they don't mix with water. And then with the cilia, the nutrient will be transferred to the bloodstream, and there would be traveling around the animal. Um, this animal would also have able to contract these blood tubes, extension of the heart, you see, aquat heart, and in case of some emergency like the damage or a damage of the arm, feeding arm, the arm will get curled up and arms would get curled up and wait when the conditions are going to be right, they would open up again. This has a lot of evolutionary potential. So let's say they can hibernate during seasons where there's a fast current, which will blow all the food away. When there's a slow current, the it would blow the food to the area, and the feeding arms get can safely extend and not get damaged. I will call this oh this animal multi-arm, many arms in Latin, multiforamina, many holes in Latin for the moving species. So here's the family trees for multi-arma. There's the family tree for multiforamina and the family tree for minima plantae, the plants. So this would be the end of our episode, which is really long. So goodbye. Suggest some stuff, and I will stop pre-recording the episodes now. So goodbye.